one of awesome. And then if one of my co-hosts can just kind of take a look at the waiting room, that would be wonderful. And I'd like to thank everybody for your patience. We have a 5-minute late start, so we do apologize for that. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Erin Saxon, and it's my distinct pleasure to serve as our events committee chair this year. Thank you all for joining us today for this exciting 2024-25 kickoff event with the Reading League Virginia. We're so thrilled to welcome both our returning members and those of you who are joining us for the first time. Today, along with providing an overview of our Virginia chapter's annual report, we have some amazing speakers lined up who will share their insights with us. But before we dive into our session, I want to take a moment to extend a special welcome to our new members. We're so excited to have you with us. Your enthusiasm and fresh perspectives are what keep our community vibrant and impactful. Also, please allow me to introduce our 2024-25 board members. We have past president Susan Campbell, our president Jennifer Sassano, secretary Angelique Wincoop, treasurer Jen McCrae, and with events we have myself, Erin Saxon, publicity Kelsey Knoll, membership Jacqueline Alston, governance Lauren Ziegler, board members Kim Boston Brown and Tisha Hayes, and finally, advisor to the board, Emily Solari. You will learn more about our committees later this session, and in case there's any interest in committee participation, we're looking for members from all across the Commonwealth to engage. So stay tuned for more information on that. Our vision is that every educator is prepared to implement evidence-based practices to meet the diverse profiles of all students with the goal of becoming skilled, lifelong readers. As many of you know, the Reading League is dedicated to advancing the awareness and understanding of evidence-aligned reading instruction by bringing together all stakeholders under a shared mission around reading success. Further, our mission is to ensure that every child has the opportunity to become a skilled reader, and we're so glad you're here to be part of this important journey. Now, and without further ado, let's introduce our first speaker. Maria Murray has been a remarkable advocate for literacy and education and is also the founder and CEO of the Reading League National. I have to say, our excitement to have Maria come speak at our annual kickoff tonight was equally matched by her enthusiasm to be here. Joining Maria this evening, we also have with us Kari Kurto, who serves as TRL's National Science of Reading Project Director. Together, they're going to help us get to know the Reading League by sharing more about the mission, impact, and resources available. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to both Maria and Kari with a proper Zoom chat, hello, greeting, or virtual wave. Thank you both so much for being here tonight.
It's an honor.
Yay!
I have goosebumps listening to you.
So before we get started with the good stuff real quick, tonight we will be recording for any members who are unable to attend this meeting. Also, the chat feature is open, so please feel free to add any questions you may have for the board, and we will respond as we're able to throughout tonight's presentation. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Maria and Kari.
Thank you very much. Very much. I guess we're honored to be here. I just sit in amazement to hear you talk about this thing called the Reading League in your Commonwealth. It's like, oh, I want to join that. Oh, so hello to everyone and thank you for what you're doing. I don't have the proper words to thank you, but here we are together tonight, doing important things, and it's all about our mission, right? Which is to advance the awareness, the understanding, and ultimately, and hopefully, the use, long-term sustained use of evidence-aligned reading instruction. We do believe that all children deserve to learn to read, of course, who doesn't? and that all teachers can learn to teach them. Thank you for advancing my slides. I feel like I'm in first class here. So I'm not going to go too much. I know time is limited. We only have like a half hour to tell you a little bit about the beginnings of the Reading League, where we are now, what we do, and what we're hoping for the future. But it was very much a grassroots activism idea, like most nonprofits, a spark of an idea. And it's filling a hole that's out there, and there sure was a huge hole in teacher knowledge, right? And we all are aware of that and have our own stories. But there we are at a Panera, thinking about it. We still have the notes from that meeting where we said, let's teach people how to think. And that picture on the right is we got a whopping like $3,000 grant, and we used it to build tubs for teachers, because if they don't have the things, they're not going to do the stuff. And that's my downstairs family room where I don't even know who that woman is, but people just people showed up and sorted and stuffed, and you know how it is, right? You're all volunteering and doing the things, and there's a sense of excitement around it. So the background of me is I was 18 years as either a student and my master's or doctorate program. I was a teacher, I was a tutor, I was a federally funded intervention research coordinator, author, professor, and all of that seemed very dark and dismal because none of those things that I was doing, teaching students who would just go out into balanced literacy schools, writing articles, who's going to read them, tutoring 1 or 2 or 8 children a year, it doesn't feel like enough, and so on. So everything felt impossible until the day of the Reading League's birth. So here we are. We're like moths to a light, right? Eager to come and do the work. We can advance, I believe. And so the Reading League also has a Cinderella story. Its mission itself never fails to be appreciated by anyone I've ever met. It can be, my favorite recent one is about 2 months ago. I went to a new dry cleaner, and this woman behind the counter is now my new best friend dry cleaner, Science of Reading lady. She keeps a defining guide on the counter, like, it's just like, what do you mean, teachers? What do you mean this? And what do you mean in Syracuse we have the lowest literacy in a city our size in the country? Yeah. So everyone gets it. They've had someone in their family who's a teacher. We all across the landscape, even if none of this has ever touched you, you might be, an employer or a manager, and see the potential and the damage. So anyway, enough of that. One person who really saw our promise in what we were doing and was really happy about it was Pleasant Rowland. She was our first benefactor, and she heard about us. It's a long story. It's an exciting Cinderella story. But she pretty much, she's the inventor of the American Girl doll, by the way. You've all given her some money in one way or the other, I'm sure. And her first job was a teacher. And her first Midas touch project was inventing a curriculum because she didn't know why her first graders weren't reading. I encourage everyone to look up her keynote speech she gave, I believe in 2000, I can't remember the date, but to the IDA national conference in Chicago. So you look up Pleasant Rowland, and her title was The Challenge of Our Times, Teaching All Children to Read. Well, I assigned that for 10 years plus to my students every semester. And I couldn't believe this woman seemed to have an understanding and business savvy and science of reading. Anyway, she found us and we found her, and she called me one day and said, "What's your dream?" And the rest is history. We got to leave the downstairs family room and literally go national very quickly. So to do that, we had to, after doing that a couple of years and just kind of grabbing at things and doing the things, all these opportunities that were just flying in our face, we said we have to develop an impact flow. Let's make sense of what we're doing. So on the left, this is old and it's still blurry and everything, but those are the things we do on that left column, and we don't do all of them anymore. And some are on kind of a hiatus until we strengthen it. It doesn't matter. But these are the programs that we do to enact our mission. How do we increase the awareness, right? So all of those build the awareness and appreciation of the value of the science of reading. And as we go down, we hope that once you become aware of it, you want to try to use it. And once you want to try to use it, well, you're hooked, right? Because you're like, wow, this is wonderful. This is working. I never knew this. And then you convert your practices, and then so on. So then we also do school-based programming. We do professional development partnerships with dozens and dozens of schools across the country. We have and other things. So ultimately, that purple box says, wouldn't it be nice if all this work resulted in changing the culture of practice in a system that it's so embedded that it never goes away, that sustained piece. Okay, so that's our first premise of how we're going to build ourselves nationally. This is what Pleasant Rowland gave us the support to do. So you can click ahead. And so now it didn't take, everything seems to be very fast, but it didn't take long for us to realize that it's all very well and good to teach, to get this knowledge to teachers. But we also all know that the education system at the school classroom level is very vulnerable to a retirement, to a new superintendent with a different, need I go on, right? So we realized we should be branching up higher to, and I'll go quick, to other stakeholders. So Kari, will you take this away? And you can start with the video you made, because we launched this Compass project. Go ahead, last year. Yes.
At the conference last year. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so honored to take it away from Maria. Thank you so much. I always learn something new every time I hear the origin story. It's so great. And I challenge you all to be like Maria. It's like she goes out and it's like phone, wallet, keys, define and guide, because you never know who in the community needs to hear this information, right? Either to be validated by their own story, or maybe they have a child that's struggling. You never know. And Maria, you mentioned sustainability, and community involvement is an essential piece of that sustainability. So always remember, phone, keys, define a guide. Always keep one with you. So yes, so educators, working with schools. I came to the Reading League in March of 2023, and that was after working at the Rhode Island Department of Education. And one thing that was kind of problematic was we were seeing folks now that this whole science of reading thing is taking off. We saw the term being utilized in a way that it really was not intended to, right? And that's the point of the defining guide, is to define the science of reading as that vast interdisciplinary body of knowledge that we can and must learn from, and also to prevent a lot of the misconceptions that were out there, because all of the work that Maria and the Reading League and all of you have been doing over the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe more, maybe decades, you have been trying to do this work and help folks understand that there is an evidence base and we have to listen to it. And guess what? From a policy standpoint, from a media standpoint, it is so exciting because people are listening now. And so I invite you to watch this video a bit, and then we will describe a little bit more about what the Reading League Compass is. So this video is from the conference last year where we launched the Reading League Compass, but the video is still relevant because it speaks to the power that all of you have had in this movement and continue to have, and how you all are the league. We are just, the people that get to do fun things to help you out. At least I feel that way. And develop resources to help you out because you may understand exactly what the science of reading is. You may understand those evidence-based practices for oral language and writing and decoding. You might be a word nerd like me. You might understand what it takes to get kids to read, but there are a lot of folks out there that don't understand that still or may have those misconceptions. And so the Reading League Compass was built for several key audiences in mind. One is for administrators to know that this is more than just purchasing a program. Did you want to interrupt Maria for a second? Okay. Okay. So talking about all the practices that they need to consider to develop an evidence-aligned system. We have a page for ed prep programs because if we can train pre-service teachers with a strong understanding of reading research and how to implement those practices, our future sure looks a whole lot brighter, right? A page for supporting the needs of those who work with English learners and emergent bilingual students. This is a group of folks that still have a lot of misconceptions about this work, but they also have really relevant points, right? That we need to incorporate information on home language as an asset, on their culture as an asset. And we all need to work together for this purpose. So we have the joint statement there that helps to guide our direction of moving forward together. We have a page for policymakers and state ed agencies with a cool interactive map where you can see what's going on state by state in regards to the science of reading. And we also have a new page for curriculum decision makers, and that's the home of our new curriculum navigation reports. I believe if you advance the slide, we've got a little snapshot of those. And on this page, we have not only information about our defining guide. If you don't have it, you can download a free digital copy. You can order hard copies to pass around to all of your dry cleaners. I don't know if I've ever actually been to a dry cleaner in my life, Maria, except for when my mom was like a teacher in the 90s and had all the teacher dresses, but that's pretty much my only experience. You can download the curriculum evaluation guidelines, which really shows. First, start out by looking at all the research at the bottom. That's all scientifically based research. That's how you know that you can see this tool as a really reliable resource, and that there is a science of reading. And from that, we've meticulously uplifted all the practices that align with the research, and then we use that to develop these informational reports for schools and districts that just came out in May, and we will continue to add to them. That's thank you, Maria. I feel like you're like the Vanna White here. Yeah, so we have 8 of
Your
them
flight
thus far,
attendant right now.
and we'll add an additional 10 between now and hopefully the early this spring, and we'll continue to add those to the website. And then we also, spoiler alert for those of you who are here tonight, at the conference, we will be launching a new page with a brand new resource. So we will be launching a page for folks who support adolescent students, and we will have a new tool that will support people to review their interventions for red flags. So similar to the curriculum evaluation guidelines, they will be adolescent intervention evaluation guidelines. So all of these tools and resources are really from a demand and a need expressed from all of you, from folks in the field. And so while we're here presenting and offering these tools for you, we also would love to hear from you. You are where we get all of our information. We want to make the most useful resources possible for all of you to be utilizing. So please, new friends, be in touch and let us know what you need as you continue this incredible work. Next slide. Maria, you want to talk about the conference?
Fine. So we know not too far from our Virginia friends. We'll be in Charlotte in less than 3 weeks. This is our 8th conference. I've been around 8 years. We're at 8 conferences, and this one has, as everyone knows, We've got people from all 50 states and 8 countries coming this year. So we're all going to make a lot of friends. Who's coming to the conference or able to be there? Any? Yay. Okay, great. See you there. Say hello, please. I'll be the tired one that's frantic but excited and still hugging everybody. So free hugs at the registration. Okay, so we can go ahead. These are the programs that I referred to in that column. These are the ways that we get knowledge about the science of reading to practitioners and stakeholders. Obviously, the Reading League Journal comes out 3 times a year. If you check it out, we're looking for stories of your successes, your statewide work. You could write a story about Virginia's new legislation and let the country learn how great you're doing. So let me know if you want more info on that. All right. And the Reading League Summit, Kari, do you want to take this one for me?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Reading League Summit began 2 years ago, and we first used it as the point of the summit is to bring together folks who may have differing viewpoints or opinions that don't quite match up, but there's substance there, and there's a really important conversation to be had to further understand both the similarities and differences. And so we use this opportunity in 2023 to have our first Reading League Summit. And it was a culmination of the work that we had been doing with some folks from the English Learner Emergent Bilingual World, organization called NCEL or NCEL, who published a white paper, and they were very anti-science of reading, if you will. And so through a series of conversations, we found some common ground, and we decided to have the first convening of folks from the science of reading space and the English Learner Emergent Bilingual World, just to see again where we could find alignment. And it was a very, very powerful event that was in Las Vegas. From that event came the joint statement, and we knew we had continued discussions to be had. So after the joint statement, we kept talking, we kept the second summit was really raising some of those areas where we knew that we had differences and digging into them with researchers and with experts from the ELEB world, where they could get on a stage, share their insights, hear one another, and have conversations about it. So it was another powerful experience. That was about 1,000 people in San Diego, and we hope to continue those conversations, but we have not yet announced the topic of the next annual summit. But they're great, smaller experiences. We like to have them a little bit more on the West Coast to engage those chapters and whatnot. But really interesting learning experiences and powerful summits to be in the room and hear folks that you wouldn't normally hear having conversations together, try to work through things for the betterment of all of our students. Do you want me to keep going? Okay. So in that same regard, we want to make sure that our messaging is inclusive of all students, and not in a low impact way. We want to intentionally call out that there are some communities who do not see themselves in the science of reading space for one reason or another, and digging in and finding out what those reasons are, and making sure that their messaging is lifted up so that everybody can see themselves in this work, and so that we can make sure that we uplift all communities in this work. So we have also released a DEIB statement that can be found on the Reading League's website, where we call out historic racism that has happened in education and make sure that we address that and name that. And we have a very intentional focus on uplifting the concerns and needs of populations that are further marginalized by language status, race, poverty, etc. So we want to make sure that we elevate evidence-aligned literacy instruction, and we want to make sure that we uplift the voices from those those communities that really need to be seen and heard in this work and make intentional projects and focuses on this work. So that also includes Maria and I went to the Black Literacy Matters conference last spring, and we have an Educators of Color community cohort that will be presenting at the Reading League conference. We really recommend you check that out. And we're constantly thinking about how to uplift and understand that intersection between equity and evidence-aligned literacy instruction. Next slide. Back to you.
Thanks, Kari. Yes, I mean, all means all. If we're saying this means all children, then all stakeholders, all people responsible for all children have to be on board. So we make it our business to make our league grow and grow and grow and include others. Okay, so the Reading Buddies is a television show that's available for free on YouTube. This started during COVID. We have no business being TV producers of any kind, way, shape, or form. My advisor that I learned about the science of reading from for decades, my mentor, oh my gosh, Dr. Benita Blackman, she was mentored by Jean Chall. That might ring a bell for some of you. And Jean Chall was the advisor for Sesame Street Electric Company and so forth. So it's kind of cool. So we brought the science of reading into arts and entertainment during COVID closures, and it's still going strong. We have 60 episodes and covering all kinds of things. We do heart words with felt boards. We do letter formation on the lower left. We do embedded mnemonics. We do chaining. We do phoneme awareness, you name it. And there's adorable children and a robot and a dog. And it's a lot of fun, and kids don't even realize that they're learning to read. But thank you. We check that out if you want. It's available. There's PBS Kids associated with the learning worksheets that are coming out. We have cute merch, and schools love it for like breakfast time, recess times, and so forth. And teachers are actually learning about it, which was an unintended bonus. It's being, this year it'll be nominated, have its 3rd Emmy nomination. So that's how good the product is. It's like produced by a director in LA, and the puppeteers were from Broadway. So it's the best. And the left arm of Dusty also, I think, did like Rosa on Sesame Street, so this is the real thing. All right, so we can move on from the TV show, another program, or I guess it's called a program in nonprofit world, but we have dozens and dozens, and here's just a sampling of books that are phenomenal as a resource for learning. So I'm sure you're all aware of this, but we have an online shop, and that really helps us keep the lights on, and we help to try to keep it at the same prices as Amazon. But there's oodles and oodles of books, and we're constantly adding them and running out of space and having to make the warehouse bigger, but that's a good problem to have. Who doesn't love books about learning about reading? So, and we can go forth from here. And then professional development. This is our key program, The Rubber Hits the Road. This is a picture of some of our professional development specialists in our headquarters this past summer when we did training. So this definitely echoes the getting that awareness, understanding and use. So we're very proud of the work we do with districts. We encourage working with the administrators first so they get buy-in. We won't work with us. We don't do one and dones. These are long-term relationships with schools as they transform, and we make them prioritize building their knowledge first rather than just grabbing a program. I see some nods there. We're all such kindred spirits. Okay, we can go on to the next thing. You're familiar with this thing. It's called our chapter network, and this is the lifeblood of the Reading League now. Who knew that it would be what it is now? We got asked when we were first that traveling troupe of Central New York people, we need one in our state. We need one in our state. I'm like, well, how does one do that? But where you put your mind to it and where there's a need, you go. We now have, as you know, 32 states in the DC, the District of Columbia, and we'll be adding 7 more states in January. That's going to be a big onboarding project. We're very appreciative for Andrea Setmeyer, our chapter director. She is a star. She's so supportive. And what more can I say? We once envisioned chapters as being something we worried about, like how would we do quality control? And now we laugh. Well, I look at the people who come to be leaders. They are the best of the best. So the quality is there. It's just been a superb experience. And grateful is an understatement. It's just, there is no word yet invented, because how would our mission grow to this if we didn't have chapters, right? How would we grow this message to the extent if we didn't have the voices of people across the country? So thank you. All right, we can go ahead from here. And then we've become a leader in the field, which is pretty cool. I'll notice, I'll draw your attention rather to the bottom chunk, but we get to the Reading League's one of the 11 national organizations on the Joint Council for Learning Disabilities. We advise on the path forward. A few of us are, and many probably chapter leaders too, are involved with the new Evidence Advocacy Center, giving keynotes at DOEs and SEAs. And we have alliances with so many things like NCTQ, Society for Scientific Studies of Reading, Florida Center for Reading Research, and so forth. So we get to have that league feeling even in that respect. Kari, can you pop on the Ed Prep and communities?
Yeah, absolutely. I run a few communities of practice, one for English learners, emergent bilingual students, one for educator preparation programs, faculty from Ed Prep programs that want to learn more, and another community of practice for literacy leaders from state education agencies. And in my experience, typically these communities of practice kind of die down after 5 or 6 sessions, and then they're retired. But we have been going strong for more than 2 years, and each month it grows. It's really exciting, especially with the state ed agencies. States are asking to come in, they're asking to add more people. We bring them speakers, we bring them information, and they are a source of information for us. And they say that it's some of the best PD that they have, and they can't wait to attend each month. So it's nice to know that the resources and the information that you're getting is coming from departments of ed that are doing this work right now at a national level. So that's fantastic. We have a program for ed prep programs that we are hoping to grow. We have supported about 5 colleges or universities thus far, but we actually have a consultancy service, and they will use some resources that we have to support the program. They go in and they get the whole program together, faculty from the entire program, to look across their course syllabi to note what their common goals are, backwards map, and help them find gaps and redundancies regarding evidence-aligned literacy instruction content. And then they will help them go through the process of not only identifying them, but addressing them and guiding them to strengthen their course syllabi and their programs overall. So we have information on the website about our educator preparation syllabi refinement consultants. That's a mouthful. But again, we've had a lot of success thus far. We just haven't promoted it widely yet because, with everything, you want to start small, make sure that it works, and then once it does, then grow, grow, grow. So please know that is an opportunity, and we hope to grow that opportunity in the future.
Okay, so we have a part as a leader in the field. As we envision right now, the senior leadership at headquarters and national here, we have been working on our sustainability plan and also our strategic plan, taking us out to even as far as 2030. What do we envision for TRL? And of course, that's to be the leader in the SOR field, growing with intention, as Kari mentioned. And then I think we have just 1 or 2 slides left. I'm sorry we're going a little long, but I think it's appropriate to wrap us up with a quote from Pleasant Rowland, who started us off and wants to carry us forward even higher. What a moment it is, a moment when American education is in crisis, and when a nonprofit foundation with a clear and targeted mission of improving reading instruction in the primary grades is desperately needed. That is taken from that thing I recommended you read. Did I say read it? Can you get that out of there, please, immediately? Like, can we go back and restart at 8 o'clock tonight? Okay, but that was from her IDA keynote, and that's why she was so happy to find this reading league. And the Reading League's mission, and even beyond the Reading League, those of us who understand the potential and the promise of evidence-aligned reading instruction, like there isn't a third, fourth thing coming down the road, right? You can't say, well, we did balanced literacy, and then we tried science of reading, and now we're gonna do, what else is there? You either instruct according to how the brain is, we know, confirmed by neuroscience, how it actually reads, or you don't, how it learns to read and do all the other literacy things. So it is definitely incumbent upon all of us to safeguard the science of reading from slipping back, from people giving up on it, from not implementing it correctly. A lot of people are aware of the science of reading now, but we seem to be now in a little bit of a new era of clumsy adoption, right? Like a little bit of a sprinkling or a misuse or an overgeneralized application. It just is a little bit messy. So we have to continue to fortify, uplift, and all those other kinds of words that we could use the science of reading going forward, and make sure it's here to stay and becomes the norm and we never go backwards. So I'm going to propose do I have another slide, or is that it? I don't even know. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to close here and thank you all, but I think we're going to have to all continue to do the work within the education system and education adjacent areas, but also our dry cleaners, our pediatrician, like I think every human being has to know that this is a social justice issue. They are completely unaware. And when you go have dinner with a friend or something, like, do you always have these conversations? Like, what do you mean? Do you have those with your, I do all the time. Like, what do you mean this is happening in our schools or not happening in our schools of ed? And I'm like, oh my God, I got to start all over. I don't get to eat. I got to proselytize wherever I go. But we have to let the general populace know about the statistics, the enormity of the devastation caused by low literacy. We have to let people know that kids are hurting, that we're causing some of this, right? If we don't do it right, we have kind of one chance with children at the beginning. And what does this mean for equity, our economy, our democracy, and so forth? It's terrifying to think about it. And I want everyone to be terrified, so to speak, but in a way that we then get attention and vote for the right school board members and vote, bring the right people in and demand that this happens. So there is urgency, and so this is it's not a fad. We don't want it to be susceptible to whims and fancies. So I could go on, but I think what I'm rambling about, and I'm just going to leave you with my ball of passion, and you can do it with it what you want. But I'm glad we're playing with the same ball, Virginia. Thank you very much. Beyond words. Thank you. I applaud you so much. And I hope the rest of your membership meeting goes well. I know it will. And see some of you in a couple of weeks.
On behalf of the Reading League, our Virginia chapter, we do want to thank you both, Maria and Kari. I'm so thrilled that this was a purposeful night to bring in what the Reading League is with what we do here in Virginia as well. And we really, I've heard the origin story, so to speak, of the Reading League, and it gets me every time. I mean, I'm so proud to be a part of the Reading League now because it does take a league. But man, I wish I was in New York like years and I wanted to be sitting around that table. So what, the way that this grassroots has just has grown and become so impactful. There's so much to be proud of. We are going to go over our general membership annual report here in a second. That's for members who've been a member, but I would also encourage other people to stay so that you can see what work we do and really feel this passion, because it does take a league, and it's so wonderful being a part of the league. Maria, Kari, and all of the folks at the Reading League, it's your work is amazing. I do want to take this chance to say, yes, you want to check out the Compass, read the journal, become a member of of National as well as our Virginia chapter. And then, the conference, that's something that you don't want to try to miss, every year if you can go. I mean, the work is just fantastic. And, I'm
And I
going
would
off
encourage
script
you
a
to
little
think
bit
of
because
also.
I just am, it's being a part of the league is amazing. So to everyone out there, being a part of our Virginia chapter is wonderful, but I definitely encourage national membership as well too. This work is genuine. Like you said, it's not a whim. It's not, it is where literacy is headed. And so thank you guys so much for your time tonight, but all of the work. I mean, when you guys roll out new things, I'm like, how do they keep up? It's amazing. And I do think the Reading League is, like you said, we are a leader in the SOR world, but becoming the leader is amazing. And I have no doubts that will happen. So I just get excited and thrilled every time I see you guys and I hear things. And this is not the first time I've heard this, and nothing was new, and I'm still super excited. So thank you very, very much.